They're like, "You're that one dude, Ryan, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me. I've never been recognized at work before. You are the first time." And he was just like, "No, I love your stuff. You know, I enjoy bourbon. I learn a lot from you." And I was like, "Thanks for, the usual. Thanks for the follow. Where you followed me. Having a good conversation." They were like, "All right, have a great day." And I went back to work. So that was probably one of the most unusual, other than like, I learned very quickly not to post exactly where I am at any given time, because somebody will just show up and go, "I saw that you posted that on TikTok or Instagram, and now I just want to say hi and take a picture with you." And I'm like, "I'm just a regular dude. Sit down next to me. Let's have a conversation. Like, let's drink some whiskey and enjoy it." So it does get weird, but nothing too weird other than the work thing and the random show up things.
How did the East Coast sales manager for an appliances company become one of America's most influential whiskey creators? Ryan Mills is that one dude, Ryan, a self-professed geek who loves to learn and educate. This father of two has made all the right moves in the booze business and now has brand sponsors, a merch line, single barrel programs, and even his own online e-commerce store for spirits. He is living the life of the spirit guide, truly. But how did he do it? And why did he do it? And how has his life changed since he became that one dude, Ryan? We'll find out in this episode of The Spirit Guides, the show about the entrepreneurial journeys of the world's top booze influencers. I am your host, Tequila J. Bear. Fans of this show are known as the Sippers, and all Sippers know that every show can be found at thespiritguides.info, and the videos are always at thespiritguides.video. The show is sponsored by our friends at Love Scotch, the premier online shop for scotches, bourbons, tequila, and a lot more. They've got an extensive collection curated from all around the globe, and they'll send it right to your house. Here's an awesome deal. Shipping from Love Scotch is always $19.95, regardless of the number of bottles that you order. So if you buy more, it's actually a super good deal. Doesn't apply, of course, to Hawaii, Alaska, etc. Sippers, go to lovescotch.com. That is lovescotch.com. And the show is produced by our pals at Content 10X. Go to content10x.com for all of your content creation and production needs. And now, here is that spirit guide, Ryan Mills. How are you, man?
Good. How are you?
Super great. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. You're a man of many passions, many interests. How did this happen? Has whiskey always been one of them, or was it one among many?
Oh, one among many. But the one thing about whiskey is that I always tell people it kind of tickles all the parts of my brain. You know, there's art, there's history, there's science. It just kind of culminates into one thing. So makes sense for me.
And I presume, like most spirit guides, you are a hobbyist, an enthusiast, an aficionado, and then said, "Hey, what if I made a video or something?"
Yeah, essentially. I started off actually just posting pictures and tasting notes on Instagram. And then it kind of blew up when, the advent, I guess you could say, the innovation of TikTok. And then just started posting some short form content. First, initially started off like the first 6 months without even talking. I just did the slams and sips reviews, and then people started asking questions, and I just started to respond to them. I love whiskey. I love the everything about the background, the history and science behind it. So, when I really enjoy something, I really want to know more about it, I do my research. So helping people out.
You know a lot about the category, and that's very apparent by your content. It's funny you mentioned, I went all the way back on your Instagram, right? Like to the very, very beginning. And you went from like being like a regular dad, posting photos of the family on vacation or whatever. And then there's like a little bit of booze. And then all of a sudden, like you became that one dude, Ryan. And other than you now talking instead of just doing them silently, it almost felt like when you got into it, it was almost fully formed, which is really interesting. How did that happen? Did you sort of have a plan and say, okay, here's going to be kind of my shtick, my recipe, or you just sort of accidentally stumbled upon it?
I 100% accidentally just stumbled upon it. I've always enjoyed cigars and I've always enjoyed whiskey. And if you look at the very beginning, like you said before, you can see that I would post pictures of like what I was smoking that day, either grilling or whatnot. or what random scotch I was enjoying that week, the Ardbegs and such. And then it just gained more traction, I guess you could say. My site, my pages, my channels have always been my personal channels. They're not anything to be individually, positioned towards only whiskey or only cigars. If I feel like talking about, cars, I'll do it. If I feel like, talking about my recent trip to Disney World, I'll do it. But people gravitate more towards the whiskey stuff, and I enjoy talking about it. So it helped create a community around the spirits enthusiasts, right? The whiskey drinkers, the scotch drinkers. So I just kept it going.
Amazing. How soon did you realize this was an entrepreneurial venture, not just sort of a fun project? It felt like, because I've been following you from the very beginning, it felt like you treated it like a business pretty early on. Whether it was a business or not, I'm interested, but it felt pretty buttoned up and tied together pretty quickly.
Well, I think that mainly has to do with what I do for a profession, right? I've always been an educator, a trainer. In my personal life, I'm a merchandiser. I do sales. I've always been in some sort of a sales category when it comes to my job, right? So the funny part about it is I learned at a very young age that if you want to help and educate, help in sales, help in, market, you really have to have good training skills, right? So that's probably why a lot of people would look at it and go, well, this looks more like, he wants to make it a business. In all actuality, it's not. That's the funny part. Where I kind of saw a slight change was, I have friends, at least I consider them friends now, that started following me, and they had their own businesses, right? They had their own merchandising shops, or they would make their shirts, or they would make leather goods, or they would make glassware, or they would make, different things. And they would reach out to me and they would just go, hey, try this out, see what you think. And I would try them out and I would enjoy them. So we would just set up as friends, we would set up an affiliation code or a back end so where somebody like me could create, shirts and put them on the internet, and people could buy them if they liked them. If they didn't, then I don't care. Enjoy what you enjoy, right? To me, it's still somewhat weird that these other brands will either reach out or they'll say something to me and they'll go, hey, we'd really like for you to show off some of our stuff. And I've even kept to this day, if a brand truly and honestly wants to get me to feature their thing, it's still going to be my opinion and my opinion alone. Whether I like it or not is going to be completely up to them. But business-wise, I did not go into this thinking, hey, I can make money off of this. Truthfully, I'm still amazed what little money that I have made. So it's just, for me, it's all about community. It's about fun. It's about sharing my passion for the spirit.
So not ready to quit the day job just yet?
No, not at all. People ask me that all the time. They're like, you have, X amount of followers and you have a pretty decent amount of videos online, are you doing this full time? And the answer is no. I work full time. I have a big boy job. I go and I travel for that job, and I don't see me leaving it anytime soon.
Me too. One of the things I wanted to ask you, you're the first person from the sort of whiskey bourbon community we've had on the show as a guest. And it seems to me that category of spirits was maybe first to market in terms of educational content in social media, et cetera. And so it's a pretty competitive category. There are a number of people out there sort of ostensibly sort of doing what you do. Everybody's got their own spin on it, obviously. How much did you pay attention to those other content creators? Did you say, okay, what's my unique approach? Or you just sort of do you and whatever happens, happens?
I just, honestly, I'm friends with a lot of those content creators, quote, influencers, whatever you want to call them. Truthfully, when I first started doing short form, like educational content, what I ended up doing is I saw a bunch of people just kind of talking about the spirit, doing their 4-minute videos where there was no cut scenes or anything along those lines. I don't know how much has actually influenced me on how I make my videos. What I know is that attention spans, especially on short form content platforms like Instagram Reels and over on TikTok, they tend to be very small, the attention span. So I did, the multiple angles, the cut scenes to do educational content. It took time. It definitely took time. The one thing that I kind of pride myself on is being able to create a series of different short form things, like Welcome to Whiskey Talk or Slams and Sips or the Whiskey Guy Tries series that people seem to absolutely love. So I try to be as original as humanly possible. Do other creators kind of influence that? I think so. I mean, you can't not, right? But if it was just a straight up rip off of somebody else, I just couldn't see myself doing it.
Well, I think your content is super original, and one of the things I like best about it is its consistency, right? You are very good at episodic content. I mean, so many creators, I think, get into this trap of sort of random acts of content, and that can work. The algorithm proves that it can work, but the audience isn't really sure what they're in for. Where your content is very consistent, right? You do the slams and sips. That's a signature kind of Ryan thing. You always have the funny T-shirt, which is amazing. You always have the Melin flat brim hat. Like, it's like as soon as your video comes on, you're like, oh, that's that dude Ryan video, and I think that's very comforting to the audience. Did you develop those all at once, or just sort of added different pieces over time?
So it's really adding the different types of pieces to it. Some things just work really well, and like I said in the very beginning, when I did not speak to anyone, right? It wasn't a talking head on a camera. It was literally just me slamming a bottle with my phone set up and giving essentially a review with my face, right? So I use the shirts to kind of express something or other. In the beginning, you could see some of my shirts weren't as cheeky. They were, how do I put it? They were vulgar. Now I've moved away from being a little bit more vulgar, but more of like a cheeky, tongue in cheek. I want to play games with the viewers, right? Somebody's going to see me just sitting there, see the shirt, kind of give a giggle, and then they're going to see the bottle and go, ooh, let's see what he has to say about this. Oh, wait, he said nothing. And then it's kind of evolved into where it is today, because more and more people would like to see and hear, what I'm getting from the bottle itself, or just want to know more about the bottle. The hats themselves have changed over time. The reason why I wear this specific hat is because I absolutely love Melin hats. I have a big head, not, physically it's a big head. I wear like a size 8 or a 7 5/8, right, fitted hat. So Melin makes, in my opinion, the most comfortable hat out there, and it just works well with the flat brim because I have a beard, and if I go with a curved brim, it's not me, right? So yes, it's evolved over time. It's nothing that I've just gone, hey, I know exactly what I'm going to do. But I like to stay consistent only because, like you said before, it helps kind of people be comfortable. The consistency in it helps me be comfortable as well, because I know I can create something out of something that somebody asks me. So it's kind of where it's at.
You've been doing this for a while now, and obviously it's really taken off. What's the most rewarding aspect for you of being a spirit guide?
So again, it has nothing to do with the amount of people kind of looking at the camera. It doesn't have to do with the engagement. You could literally have one person that on the side has direct messaged me and said, what you said about that made me truly understand. And now I can appreciate a spirit more so than just drinking it, right? I think that it's kind of hard for all of us in this kind of realm, whether it's tequila or it's rum or it's whiskey or it's any spirit, to kind of make sure we don't go over that line of, how do I put this? Making a big deal out of alcoholism, right? We want to help those. So for me, the biggest rewarding thing is somebody understanding it and almost the switch kind of clicking. Oh, I'm not doing this to get drunk anymore. I'm doing this to enjoy it. And instead of having 12 drinks, I'm going to have 1 or 2 and just enjoy the spirit itself. Not only that, but the community. I mean, the community around the whiskey world is just unbelievably cool. It's just a bunch of people that want to have fun. And that's what for me, it's all about.
Hey sippers, hope you're loving this episode of The Spirit Guides. If you are, would you please follow the show on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, or subscribe to the show on YouTube? And the most important thing you can do for the show and for me is to leave a review. It makes a big difference. Thanks so much. Back to the show.
What impact has becoming a spirits influencer, a spirit guide had on your personal life and your relationships with your family? Your kids made guest appearances recently. That was hilarious. So like, is it different now with friends and family?
It's not as weird as you would think it would be. The only weird thing is when I'm like out and about and somebody recognizes me, my wife thinks it's hilarious. She always goes, I can't believe somebody noticed you at, Target. Or if we're in town, because in Tampa, we have a pretty decent cigar scene and we have a really good whiskey scene as well. So if I'm out and about, I'm at a cigar place or a whiskey place and she'll see somebody notice me in the corner. And then she's like, I think somebody's going to come up to you real quick. That's probably the weirdest part. Other than that, it's normal day to day. On the personal life standpoint, what's really fun is the fact that some companies, some brands, some other events that happen now, I get to go to those, right? I have the honor and pleasure of going to things like Barbecue and Barrels and the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, and locally we do the beer, bourbon, and barbecue, to where I get to meet cool people that know who I am and they want to talk and they want to have a conversation, and because that's honestly what I'm doing with the cameras, right? I'm having a conversation with people in the community. So personally, that's the most rewarding part. The kids they give me guff about it. They call me let's see if I get this correct. They call me a micro niche influencer. I think that's what it's called. A micro niche something influencer. And I'm like, don't use the term. And I hate the term influencer, but they like to make fun of me.
They're like, you're not Taylor Swift, Dad.
Right, exactly.
Congratulations on your cute whiskey account. That's awesome.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. What's the most unusual or funny interaction you've had with a fan out in the wild?
Oh, I don't know if I could. I don't know. I shouldn't say hate, but the community around me is fun, right? I actually got stopped at work one time. So for work, I go into markets, and I have market managers that I oversee. They're great people. We go into the stores, and I just kind of take a look and see what they do on a day-to-day basis, make sure that everything's getting done. I walked into one location. It was a home improvement store. Won't name names, but a home improvement store where our products are. And we did our visit, and there was a couple there, a gentleman and his wife. They're walking around, and I kind of clocked them because I saw them like looking over towards us, but not really. It didn't seem like they knew who I was, right? Not only that, but I'm not wearing my hat. I'm not wearing like a t-shirt. I'm not wearing a hoodie. I'm wearing my work attire. The beard looks a lot better. The hair is all coiffed back. So, we left that location. My market manager and myself had lunch. We went to a different location. At that location, as I was walking in, they were walking out. And I go, hey, I noticed you from the other location. Cause I want to be nice and I like to be a little playful when I'm in market. And the wife stopped me and goes, hey, my husband's a little shy to say anything, but he follows you on Instagram. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, you're that one dude, Ryan, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. I've never been recognized at work before. You are the first time. And he was just like, no, I love your stuff. I enjoy bourbon. I learn a lot from you. And I was like, thanks for, the usual, thanks for the follow, where you followed me, having a good conversation. They were like, all right, have a great day. And I went back to work. So that was probably one of the most unusual, other than like I learned very quickly not to post exactly where I am at any given time, because somebody will just show up and go, I saw that you posted that on TikTok or Instagram, and now I just want to say hi and take a picture with you. And I'm like, I'm just a regular dude. Sit down next to me. Let's have a conversation. Like, let's drink some whiskey and enjoy it. So it does get weird, but nothing too weird other than the work thing and the random show up things.
It does freak people out when they see you out of context, right? Like at work, at the home improvement store, because it sort of freaks them out. They're like, wait a second, I know this person in this corner of my life, and now I'm buying a washer dryer, and this guy is here, right? And it's like, wait a second. And so my day job is I'm a professional speaker. So every week I go to a different conference and I give a speech about marketing and customer experience. And it happens every time now. I'll come off stage after my presentation. Someone will come up to me and say, I follow you for tequila, and then I walked in this morning and you're the keynote speaker, and I could not get my arms around that. They like completely puts them on tilt, right? They're like, wait a minute, this is bizarre, right? So it is fun. There's obviously a lot of brands in the category. Are they asking you to do crazy stuff? Are they just sending you bottles and say, please drink this and tell us what you think? Like, what's the relationship like?
So relationship wise, a lot of the brands will just reach out and they'll go, hey, we really like your stuff. Even though I know like 90% of them probably don't even watch, but they're like, we really like your stuff and we would love to get a bottle on your channel. And I'm like, look, that's perfectly fine. Just know that you have to have some confidence in your product, right? Because I'm not a pay for play. I will more than happily take your bottle, put it at the end of the line, and then when I get to it. And my opinions, again, are my own. I see a lot of people that get influenced by the fact that they're getting stuff. And they will say things are good, and subjectively, they are probably good to them. But for me, I talk to a lot of people behind the scenes, and I can tell, a lot of people don't necessarily like certain things. And then all of a sudden, everybody on the face of the planet is kind of pushing them. But brands will reach out and they'll say, we would like to send you a bottle. No problem. It'll go to the back of my line. It's my stuff. Now, if they're like, we want to collaborate with you, we want to work with you, most of the time they want user-generated content. They don't want to tell me what to do. If it's something where you can easily think of a cool way of putting out content, I can make anything educational. At least I'd like to think I can. So if there's something that I can explain about a certain whiskey that maybe a brand would like for me to educate people on, that's mainly where they come in and they go, hey, Ryan, we want you to tell people what American single malts are. We want you to tell people what rye whiskey and straight rye whiskeys are. What is a small batch or a single barrel or a bottled and bond whiskey? They're not really going, hey, we want you to do some goofy stuff and chug our bottles. Which, hey, some brands might like that, but they usually come to me more with educational stuff. And then, from there, we make the content and try to help the average consumer understand what it is.
Can you share a challenging moment or an obstacle that you've faced as you've become that one dude, Ryan?
Other than time, like there's just sometimes I'm just like, I have to go live tonight. All right, let me get in the mood, right? Like I worked all day. Now I have to sit in front of another camera. No, I enjoy that because I enjoy just talking with people and answering questions and having a blast and tasting whiskey. And sometimes those lives get crazy, but I think the most challenging thing is literally working with brands. There are some, and I won't name names, but there are some brands out there that are accessories to whiskey, right? And they'll just reach out and they'll go, hey, we would like to send you one of our products to try out. If you could post a video for it, that would be great. And I'm like, sure, I'll try it out. But if I don't like it, you better send her like a return address. Like I like to feature things that I like. If I don't like your product, I'm not going to feature it, right? Unless it's a review, and then you're not going to like what I have to say. So one brand sent me something of theirs, and if I'm very specific on what it is, it'll pretty much give it away. But what I noticed was they were just taking advantage of other creators, smaller creators out there. And if anybody that worked with them is listening, they probably know because I've probably spoke with them. But they would use the product, create a video, and without any permission or question, they would rip that person's creative process. They would rip that person's video, post it on their own page, give zero to no credit about it. Not only that, but the product really wasn't that great to begin with. When I got mine, it was all warped. It wasn't right. And then when I told them, what's the return address so I can send this back to you because I'm not doing a video on it. And they were just downright nasty. So that's the hardest part is when a brand's like, here's something for free, now give us notoriety, give us your clout, give us your whatever, because we just want people to see our product. And then when the product's not good, they're like, well, we're not going to fix it. And we have 55 other people that we're going to steal content from anyway. So that's probably the hardest part.
How do you see the relationship between brands and spirit guides evolving in the future?
I hope that they do more. Like, I really want... one of the things that I absolutely enjoy about this space, I guess I could say, would be the relationship with brands. As much as I love a random, hey, Ryan, we want you to do this for us, I prefer to continuously work with brands. I know that's not really in their marketing budgets or marketing sheets. They want to get in front of as many people as humanly possible, and they don't want to overwhelm. Meaning like, yeah, Ryan, we get it. You love Sagamore Spirit. But truthfully, I work with those brands because I enjoy their whiskey. I enjoy their product. You can see behind me, I have all the blood oaths practically, except for 1 through 3. Luxco, hit me up. And then I have, a lot of Sagamore Spirit, a lot of Penelope, and these are the brands that I've worked with. They don't pay me. They just have a good relationship with me. I know the people that work there. I know the master distiller. I know the master blenders. I know, the people that work in their sales departments, the people that work at their distillery. And truthfully, that's where what I think it's all about is the relationship building. I'm not looking for anything from you. I mean, if you want to send me Blood Oath Pack 1 through 3, though, I'm not going to argue. But I just like to have fun with the whiskey world and learn as much as I possibly can. So the relationship is a big part for me. And I hope that changes. I hope it's not just, here's a fee for, showing off a bottle and then thank you, have a great day, never talk to you again. Because it seems like it's a lot of that.
If you could sip a whiskey with anybody in the world, who would it be and why?
Truthfully, if I could do anybody in the world, it's a great question. I would love to go back and be able to sip some Jim Beam with my grandmother. She recently passed, but one of the funny things was I had a bottle of Booker's. She's never had Booker's before. She never had Booker's before. And just so happened it was the Granny's batch. So I was like, sorry, Grandma, I don't have any Jim Beam, but I do at Booker's. It's very similar to Jim Beam, same mash bill. It's just a little bit more oomph, right? It's a cask strength single barrel. And she was like, all right, I'll try it. She tried it. She absolutely loved it. Literally every time she came over, she just annihilated it. But I would love to just be able to sit down with both of them, my grandparents, all of my grandparents, and just be able to kind of have a whiskey and just chat. That would be one of the cool things, to have them back again. So,
yeah, that's sweet. I'm sorry for your loss. That's a tough one, but I'm sure every time you see that Granny's blend, it hits you in the heart a little bit.
Booker's is a strong one, and I really wish I could just love Jim Beam. It's the one thing. It's the one bourbon product that I'm just not a huge fan of, and it's subjective, like I said. But Booker's, man, Booker's and Baker's. Every time I see it, that's who I think of as my grandmother.
I love that. Sippers, that was Ryan Mills, that one dude, Ryan. You can find him on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and beyond. Go to thespiritguides.info or thespiritguides.video for links and show notes. Big thanks to our friends at lovescotch.com for their support. Check out their extraordinary collection. They'll send it right to your house. Shows produced by content10x.com. We love those guys. We recommend them for all digital content. Ryan, thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate your time, and congratulations on everything.
Thanks, Jay. No, thank you. I enjoyed it. This is fun.
I am Tequila J Bear, friends, sippers. You can make mine a double. We'll see you next time right here on The Spirit Guides.